Hey there and welcome to my channel. So in today's video we are going to be going over everything talked about in the Final Fantasy XIV live letter, discussing the changes that are going to be coming with patch 5.3 on Tuesday, August 11th. So I'm going to be going at this video in a different way than in previous videos or following the exact structure of the live letter. Instead of following the exact sequence of the live letter, I am instead going to flesh out the specific sections just to avoid any repetition. So a quick overview with timestamps in the description down below, or the comment down below, probably both, is gonna be that we can expect main scenario quests, Beast Tribe quests, we can expect Chronicles of a New Era quests, and so that's gonna be things like the Ruby Weapon. We have a new instance dungeon, and then we have mystery trials, which are kept secret and are not revealed during this live letter. Then we have the Yorha Dark Apocalypse Alliance raid. Then we have a Realm Reborn revamp. We have Unreal Trials and Faux Hollows. Then we have a Resistance Weapon questline, which is going to be like the Eureka of Shadowbringers, or better probably put in a nicer tone, it's the Relic Weapon of Shadowbringers expansion. We have job adjustments, including PvE adjustments and PvP adjustments, although when I was watching through the live letter I didn't quite catch anything specific on PvP. We have Season 16 of The Feast begins, and so that's to do with PvP. We have Crafter and Gatherer updates. We have Ishgard Restoration updates, Skysteel Tool updates. Then we have miscellaneous updates, including Party Finder quality of life changes. We have new chapters added to New Game Plus. We have new token exchange vendors added to main cities. And then we have a new fashion accessories menu option added, which includes items like parasols. There are also a few more changes that are not specified in these cards, like new mounts, new housing items, new minions, new glamour pieces, and a whole lot more that we are going to actually be covering at the end of the video. Also at the end of the video, but deserves a special mention here, is that there is going to be a brand new Yokai Watch event collaboration. The last collaboration that we had was in 2016, but it is coming back, and it has a whole lot of new sets of glamour that you are totally going to want, and a mount that I am absolutely dying to have. So first off, let's start with a roadmap of everything planned so far. I'm going to do a few edits on top of what they did with the live letter, with a few rough approximations just based on past trends, but we're looking at the 11th of August being the release date of patch 5.3. Then we have the seasonal Moonfire Fair event on August 12th to the 26th. Then we have the Yokai Watch event starting August 19th until patch 5.4 release, where the patch 5.4 release currently is unknown. We're gonna guess about 2.5 months after this patch if everything goes well. Next up, we have the Rising event going from August 27th to September 19th. And then we have the Make It Rain campaign from late October to late November. This will be combined with the Halloween event this year. Since patch 5.3 is broken up into different stages that we will be talking about, including patch 5.31 and patch 5.35, we are going to have me try and approximate when this is going to be. And likewise, these dates are absolutely speculation and not final, but it's just to give everyone a bit of a rough idea on when I'm currently estimating them to land. So looking at patch 5.2, we could see that the official patch 5.2 notes were released on February 17th, 2020. Then we could see that the official patch notes for 5.21 were released on March 17th, 2020. And so this gave about a month time frame here. Of course, things can, change, but on the other hand, I'm going to just base my approximation to estimate that we're actually going to be looking at about a September 12th-ish for a release date. Around there, anywhere from like the 10th to the 11th or 12th is where I'm expecting that to be in there. Now, when we look at patch 5.2, patch 5.25 was actually officially had its patch notes released on April 6th of 2020, and so we were looking at an even further down the road date, and so I'd give that about a month and a half from the original date, give or take a few days, and so I'd be estimating late September is where I would expect patch 5.35 to be released. But again, I know I've said it before, but I want to be clear, purely speculation, purely unfounded, that's just my guess. So due to the length of the script and inevitably the video, I'm going to be cutting out some things like the trailer. I'm going to do an analysis on it completely 100% separate from the rest. So if you're looking for that kind of content, check out my other video. But I can say that they did start out with it, and that there was a whole lot of story spoilers and really epic looking content, and it actually really hyped me up. So let's start off by main story quest line. And so we don't know that many super specific details. We have gotten some images and that, but piecing it together, we're not really sure exactly how things are going to pan out. But what has been clarified is that there is going to be a critical change that you cannot continue the main story quest line until you complete both the Crystal Tower Alliance Raid quest series and then complete the quest My Little Chocobo. So make sure that you get those done by August 11th or you'll hit this wall. However, yoshi-p commented saying that there's going to be the patch with the most voice recordings and cutscenes yet, so everyone had better strap in for the very exciting ride. And probably traumatizing in my instance after the expansion launch in general. You always know when they're just like, there's a whole lot of voice lines that you're kind of doomed. Next up, we have Beast Tribe updates. We will be getting a whole set of new Beast Tribe quests following the Dwarves in Tamra with a focus on crafting. Interestingly enough, they seem to now be in Lakeland, and this is actually linked to the story and stated that there's going to be some devastation in Calusia where the Dwarves originally were in Tamra, and that forced them from Lakeland. It is being linked back to the Yorha Dark Apocalypse raid, and so very curious how that's going to pan out. This, however, is going to have a few screenshots of the beginning of the base showed on the screen right now, but as is with most Beast Tribes, this will grow and evolve over time, and the Beast Tribe will feature special rewards such as mounts and other items as always. Next up, we have Chronicles of a New Era, Sora of Werlyt, and likewise, they didn't really expand on what we could see here, but just judging myself from having the Final Fantasy VII theme with the Ruby weapon, I'm expecting, based on what we've seen in the trailer, that this is going to be the Sapphire weapon, and likewise, I am looking very forward to grinding out that Blue Dragon. I am extremely excited for that, and really hope that I get it. Next up, we have Hero's Gauntlet, which is going to be our new instance dungeon for the patch. And we have already gotten a few screenshots from the special website, and we've gotten a little bit more from the trailer. And it is my opinion that we're seeing a bunch of hero characters being battled through Ilmeg, and so I'm very curious how this is going to tie back to the story. But one thing's for sure is that this is going to be absolutely crazy. Coming with patch 5.3, we get the second installment of the Yorha raid, which excites me because I was wondering how they could just maybe top the 2B leggings hype from the first one. And then they showed this. And this mount, do I know if it is from Yorha or from the Bozja Citadel? I'm going to get to there in a bit. I'm not 100% sure, but to me, when I was playing Nier Automata, I remember how we had these like fighter planes that turned into like these mech suits, just like you can see in this screenshot of these mounts. And I'm going to be honest, I 100% need this mount. It also apparently comes with its own special background music, so that is going to be nothing short of absolutely amazing. But the raid is going to be called The Puppets Bunker, and it is our second installment of the Yorha raid series that we initially saw released in patch 5.1. And so likewise, I am just sharing a bunch of screenshots on the screen right now, and in my opinion, this really does to look like a space station that came down crashing from the moon. And I think that that's wickedly cool and pretty horrifying. So now here's just a few more pictures of the first boss, which is this floaty spinny spire. So during the stream, the developer stated that they wiped a lot during the testing phase of this content, but Yoko Taro, who is going to be from Nier Automata, like the head of it, thought that the entire raid should just be wiped if they don't touch a particular something during the raid. What that something is, we're going to have to wait till the 11th to find out, but they mentioned that there's something, so I'm curious. So I look forward to this content in general, and just how they're like saying that it's going to be a little bit more difficult, because I want an Alliance raid that is a little bit more painful. Oh gosh, my masochism's coming out. But either way, hearing this, I am actually really excited for this content. Just stack a Alliance raid with like 7 Sidolphus Randolphos. I totally butchered that name. The Thunder God or whatever he was from the Ivlis raids. And so in terms of gear pictures from the raid, we just have a whole bunch of new sets that look like different variations off of the first one. And I think that these could definitely make really good glamour pieces. I'm really interested to see what people actually make with them. Next up is a Realm Reborn content revamp. It includes things such as flying, and thankfully, without Aether Currents, Prey Return to the Waking Sands will never be the same again. But I can't wait to meme on that. To unlock flying, it was stated that you need to complete the main story questline from A Realm Reborn. So if you're dreaming of flying above all the sprouts running to the Waking Sands, yes, you can still live your life and feel the fantasy, the final fantasy of praying to return to the Waking Sands. Until you realize that they added, with patch 5.3, a new teleport ticket to teleport you back to the Waking Sands. Oh well, I guess that dream will just remain one, and I think that it will go down in Final Fantasy infamy about Prey Return to the Waking Sands. So in terms of the quest revamp for this, they said that the easiest path for them would just have been to remove quests, but that would lead to the consequence of some areas only having 1 or 2 quests in them. So the plan, from what I got from the live letter, is that long quests involving a lot of grabbing items, like the stereotypical fetch quest and returning to location, have been significantly shortened. Like, you wouldn't need to grab, say, 10 of an item. Instead, you'd only need to grab, like, 1. Likewise, this has changed some main story questline experience points they mentioned, but they stated that it is still expected for you to run into, or to not run into, leveling problems. Next up is Unreal Trials and Faux Hollows. The translated description of these Unreal Trials is that these are a new battle category with the goal of reviving old content. They brought up that, yeah, we can level sync down and basically take down the boss in seconds, or to, how to say it, not level sync down, and then take level 80 into like Ifrit hard mode. 50 versus 80, you just blow it up in like a minute. But on the other side, if you level sync down, then that also feels a little bit less enjoyable because now you have less skills. In my opinion, I can second that, because the difference between a level 80 skill set and a level 50 is for most jobs dramatic, involving sometimes entire rotation shifts. Like, take Black Mage. The difference between a level 80 and a level 50 rotation for the Black Mage is staggering. Now let's talk about what I call the relic questline for Shadowbringers, but is formerly called Save the Queen, Blades of Gunnhildr. So this is going to be the relic questline for Shadowbringers, and so this is going to be primarily a new large-scale battle content from what is being called the Bosjan Southern Front. You'll group up with up to 72 people to fight the Garlean forces back. So this immediately is going to be kind of like the Instance Eureka content, but there are a few deviations. So first of all, when you go to the Bosjan Southern Front, you can begin obtaining prerequisite components to upgrade the relic weapons. These items, however, can be obtained inside and outside of the instance. Apparently, though, this isn't going to just be items that you can use or get using Poetics, so there are going to be a few different steps to it. Apparently armor will be obtainable too, and so I'm just showing some screenshots shown from the live stream, and so we can see some caster gear and what I'm pretty sure is gunbreaker gear here. So unlike Eureka, we actually have a few changes here. Firstly, 72 is the max limit of players in the instance, and 72 is significantly lower than Eureka. Also, you'll be able to either participate inside of the content in the Bosjan Southern Front or not. You can either just do the storyline and then take it out, or you can actually get involved into it. So don't worry about needing to take the grind inside the instance, you can also do it outside. And I can't emphasize that point enough, because that alone makes it staggeringly different than Eureka, where you are basically trapped inside Eureka in complete a weapon. And I personally welcome this diversity in how you can get it done, because it's like Eureka content. I think if I was given a different option, I might have been more able to enjoy the Eureka content. There's a whole lot of psychology around if you give people a choice and they make the choice by themselves, they more enjoy it, blah blah blah. Not the point of this video. I will have a video on that guaranteed in the future. So here are some screenshots, and they're just going to be going in the background. However, I should mention that they did bring up that there are a few requirements to even get into this instance, but the requirements are actually pretty lax. So firstly, you need to have a Disciple of War or Magic, so basically a combat class, up to level 71, and so that means in Shadowbringers content essentially. but you can change jobs and make parties once you're already in the Bojan Southern instance. So this is a benefit, as you can also level jobs, like alternative jobs, through this method. As someone who leveled everything to 80 in the first month, I feel sad. How this works though is that you will be item level synced down to item level 430 and level 80, regardless if you are level 1 or regardless if you're level 80 with absolute best in the slot like 505 weapon and that. No, you're going to be clawed down to 430. Which honestly, I expect a lot of people who initially swap to an alt might be a big bit overwhelmed with the rotations from, say, a level 30 bard to level 80 bard, but we're going to have to see how that goes. I might have to make just quick videos like just boo 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 instead of ultimate guides. We'll see. But thankfully, unlike Eureka as well, we can already use mounts. Thank goodness. So you don't need to worry about in Eureka, you actually need to worry about, I need to do this and that and this and that to unlock mounts. Don't worry about that. You get mounts from the get-go, but you won't be able to fly. So the goals of this content is that we smash Garleans into the dirt to raise a stat called metal. And so with enough metal built up, our resistance rank is leveled up, and that will push up the front line of the resistance forces. Eventually, you can storm what is called Castrum Lancus Litor, which is a primary location in the Bojan Southern Front. And objectives to raise metal include skirmishes and what is called critical engagements. However, destroying enemies outside of these encounters apparently doesn't count for metal development, sadly. However, to me this sounds so similar to NM trains just off the bat. I'm just going to be super honest. It sounds like NM trains is where the primary focus is basically for here, where you don't actually grind the mobs and just wait for the fate to spawn and then NM train it to oblivion. But the difference is you might need to grind the mobs to spawn it even though it doesn't get you metal. We're going to have to see, but that sounds probably like the most likely instance. Very, very similar to Eureka if it is like that. And so aside from spawning things, I'm not exactly sure why we'd kill enemies outside there. They did mention that you do get certain items that are used to synthesize abilities. I'll get into that in a bit, as well as lockboxes. But that might be best left for an opinion piece. Skirmishes are essentially the same as Fates or NMs from Eureka. For the record, those who aren't familiar to what NM is, that stands for Notorious Monster, abbreviated. There is going to be no limit outside of the 72 instance limit to people who can contribute to the medal. Then, just like Eureka, we get logboxes, and so looking at Eureka, they included things like minions, mounts, sometimes barding, and random housing stuff, and a lot of potions and other stuff. So now let's talk about critical engagements. These are going to be battles that are initiated after meeting certain spawning criteria. To me, this sounds like there needs to be some sort of set of skirmishes or metal amount reached for this, almost like the Ishgard Restoration effort events. However, this can only include 24 to 48 people. However, this can only include 24 to 48 people. So instantly, this number scares me, because 72 players in an instance, and we can't have all of them. I honestly am going to be serious. I expect hurt feelings. I'm just going to say, I expect hurt feelings. And yeah. But these are expected. These critical engagements are expected to be quite intense fights, akin in difficulty to dungeon or raid bosses. These award greater medal and rewards for completion. Again, though, I can't state enough, like, if these are intense fights, and in a 72-person instance, you are not one of those 24 people in there, and you see them wipe, I greatly expect toxicity, especially if they wipe, and that they don't contribute to the medal. I expect, unfortunately, toxicity to arise, and likewise, of course there are systems to report, of course there are systems to mute, but what I'm saying is just, like, I already know. Like, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say anything like in chat because it's just like, you know, it goes nowhere. It's not worth it. It's really not worth it. But I can say that I'm gonna have myself probably a negative experience when I see that I'm not part of like these 24 people thing tackling this boss, and so they're getting the chance at the rewards. They're getting a chance at the extra medal. Blah blah blah. And then there's just me on the sideline like, great. And then they wipe, and then I'm like, well, you should have chose me. I mean, totally narcissistic, right? I know. But I just I'm gonna stop right there. I promise I'm stopping there. I'm not gonna mention it ever again in this video. It'll have its own video, but I'll continue. So what we have is a 4-stage process in order to start a critical engagement. And so first of all, you need to trigger it. And so you need to basically do things like particular events or drive back the Legion is what their screenshot says there. And that essentially when it's triggered, the players are going to be notified. And that when you have enough like forces built up, now you go into the second phase where you request to be deployed or to participate in it. It's basically like a duty queue when you just queue up for something and then you wait like 10 minutes if you're a DPS, or instantly if you're a healer or tank. you basically you get that kind of a notification, then you're like, oh, I want to join. And so I expect people to honestly quickly try and mash the button to get in, but if you're a party leader, you need to queue in for the entire group to be represented. So in my humble opinion, picking a party leader who has low ping and fast reflexes, please, as in someone other than me. Thirdly, you can get transported into an area if you are successfully picked, and then you form yourselves into specific groups or parties for the battle, and you discuss how you're going to approach the battle from there. Fourthly, you enter the battle with the critical engagement boss and fight it, either winning or losing. And so here is going to be another form of a critical engagement where you can also have 1 versus 1 match, 1v1 me bro, inside of here, which I see this and I feel a little confused at here. This is why I said earlier that the Yorha mount, or what I thought was the Yorha mount, I don't know if it is, because this looks like the mount to me. So maybe it isn't that mount, and if I'm wrong, I'm genuinely sorry. So the mount might be from here, but just playing Nier Automata, that instantly looks like it, but it could just be a spin-off of that or inspired by it, but I digress. But these 1 versus 1 matches are critical engagements and may come after another critical mission. If you did well, like not getting hit by a single AoE, or if you maybe have it built in-game damage parser that detects, hey, this person absolutely blew up this thing, they might automatically choose you. But the problem with this is, again, kind of similar to before, is this automated? And I'm not sure if they run a DPS parser in the background or what, and I admit I feel fear. Mind you, automated is probably better than trying and failing to get 72 people to come to consensus with which one person to represent the entire collective 72 people. Like, are you going to be like, oh, they need this particular action, and then someone else is going to be like, but that action sucks, this is the action they should take. And then someone's going to be like, oh, it should be a paladin, because a paladin has self-heal through clemency, it can deal pretty decent damage, and it has hollowed ground, so obviously it should be the paladin instead of this black mage. Trust me, I see the drama brewing. I'm stopping. But I'm also imagining the fearful situation of, say, even I'm picked, and likewise, I'm like, yeah, I get the rewards, but let's say I fail. 71 other people throwing tomatoes at me doesn't sound fun. So let's move on. So we now have at the fortress this thick boy. What an absolute unit. This is actually so cool. I love this. So this is a 48 player critical engagement. I am hyped. I want to mount this all day, every day. This thick boy is freaking cool. In terms of participant selection specifically, so let's talk about how they explain participant selection though. If there are more requests for deployment than the 48 cap allows, or 30 or 24 cap or whatever, people will be selected at random. I expect, I'm not saying it, but let's say that you contribute a lot to an event and you want a higher chance of getting selected. Well, thankfully, they have modified the algorithm where you do have higher priority scaling if you contribute to the critical engagement, or if you use special items obtained in the Bosjan Southern Front. So instantly that makes me feel a little bit better. A little bit. But, how to say it? I remember Eureka with NM trains and how we had people literally AFK. They didn't hit the boss. They didn't do anything. Like they contributed zero damage, zero healing, nothing to spawning an NM, and yet they would hit it and whatever after it spawned, and it's just like, well, you didn't help us get it here, and it's like, I still get the rewards, but it's just like, you're not gonna really have that situation here because it is weighing in if you contributed or not. Now, anyone that remembers Eureka remembers Logos actions, and so we have a system in here called Lost Actions, and so this is going to be very, very similar to Eureka Logos actions for this content, and these actions are going to be extremely potent, specific abilities that should be taken if you want to win and do well in the content. I especially think in the cases of 1 versus 1, if you don't have this, you're probably just going to get blown like to smithereens. And so these can include things like healing, allow you to revive people in combat, various buffs. If they're following the Logos system, it's going to have a whole lot of different things. And so these can be obtained through crafting what we are being called Forgotten Fragments that you obtain through the battlefield. And so Forgotten Fragments you can obtain through combat. And so these Forgotten Fragments you take in and then you synthesize into a particular action. And so again, this is very, very similar to the logo section in Eureka content. And likewise, you can even go to an NPC that is going to be a cache holder of all of these different actions for you. I'm going to call them Logos actions probably forever, but lost actions. I'm going to have to try and get better at saying that. And so to get access into this content, you need to talk to the Save the Queen NPC in the Bozjan Citadel for a detailed description on what's going on. Is also available there. But basically you talk to this guy and then you get taken in there. It's very similar to how you would be talking in Kurogane to one of the NPCs on the pier dock and then they'd take you there. So same kind of deal, but just now you're talking to Daddy Hrothgar instead of the other NPC there. And so just other screenshots that we saw was that you could see a rank up NPC that you would talk to in order to raise metal. And we have this red UI element here that shows a few critical elements that are going to basically allow you to keep track of metal and interact with key features of the instance, such as having a bow finder here. So next up is job changes, and there is going to be job changes apparently for PvP and PvE content. From what I got from the live letter, they were mostly talking about PvE content. And so I'm not 100% sure what the PvP changes are going to be, so we're going to have to wait until the live letter for that. And as always though, super detailed specifics are going to be more in the the patch notes, the official patch notes. So hang tight for that, but they gave us a quick bit of rundown. And so primarily they said that their focus is going to be on Monk and Summoner. And so immediately I'm like, don't touch my Summoner. But the Monk is currently being looked at to have their Grease Lightning system reworked akin to what happened to Ninja in patch 5.1 with Mudras and other abilities being streamlined down, which overall, in my opinion, made Ninja a whole lot better. I think that it took me a little bit to get used to it, but I do think overall it was definitely a good thing. Along with this change to the Grease Lightning system, we are also going to look at them reducing Perfect Balance's cooldown, and that Form Shift will also have a few accompanying changes. Bard is looking to get a damage buff. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. This change will be done by buffing up the potency of a few different Bard actions, which I'm going to be honest right now, really excites me because I've wanted to rip out my Bard for a long time, and as you can see in some of my past footage, I have, because it's been very hard to justify it in harder content, because it's like the damage differential between it and Machinist when played optimally is huge. Or Dancer, and it even is pretty significant. And then Bard, it's like, I couldn't justify it. And so I'm hoping that this is going to be a overall significant improvement and bring it up to like Machinist numbers at least. But in general, we could have an entire video and probably will have a video on talking about how ranged DPS fall really, really short of other DPS in terms of the damage numbers that they can do, even when they are parsing at like the 90th plus percentile. Next up is Astrologian getting a significant MP cost reduction, which will help alleviate some of the MP concerns, and as someone who's played Acid extensively in the past in this expansion, Oh boy, this is sorely needed. Other healers don't need to stack piety, where I have absolutely had to when I play Ast. Other changes are that light speed is going to be on the global cooldown modifier to 1.5 seconds. So instead of being a normal global cooldown, it's going to be all the way down there. So that's going to be a lot more abilities that you can funnel out. Likewise, MP regeneration is going to, however, be removed from this skill and placed into other skills. Likewise, sleeve draw is going to also apparently get a change. Not sure how specifically though. Lastly, in terms of summoner, apparently they are not modifying the rotation, thank God. But they are, however, looking to nerf Tri-Disaster, so most likely I'm expecting that's going to be a potency tweak or something like that. We're going to have to wait and see exactly how that's going to play out, but hang tight for that. Next up is the Crafter and Gatherer updates, and so these are going to involve a whole lot of changes that include new custom delivery client, trial synthesis, a reverse lookup for recipes using materials from our inventory, and items requested as collectibles will no longer be random apparently. So let's start off with trial synthesis. And trial synthesis is unlocked at level 15 and players can practice making items without having materials beforehand. This is something that I think is going to be highly beneficial to both new players and extremely experienced players. This will allow people to actively test out their crafting rotation before actually going to try it and make it craft. Undeniably, this is going to be a huge change and a huge tool that's going to be used all the time by people who create the macros that so many people just copy paste from Reddit. I mean, if we're just going to be honest. I say that jokingly, of course. Where's my macros? But this is a great system and I do look forward to using it. Reverse lockup function is going to be, how to say it? In patch 5.3, now we can look for recipes based on the materials in our inventory, and this does even include recipes that we have yet to unlock. To say the least, the system is going to dramatically change how some players approach crafting, especially hoarders like myself. And if you look at my retainers, my sanity is going to be saved. This is the only thing that I could think that could make the system even better would to see the current market board prices too. But that would probably be too ideal and streamlined, probably. Darn it. But we also now get the ability to automatically calculate in-game how many materials we need to craft multiples of an item. Again, this is a great quality of life change, especially because this does include intermediate products, so this is going to be amazing. Although sadly, I still wish that I could craft 99 food at once. Hey, I wish I could. At first glance, that is what I thought, and this really got me excited. I guess I'll still be making a few foods at once per craft instead of literally being King Neptune from SpongeBob, just with the entire pyramid of just making all these burgers at once versus SpongeBob with the one. I wish. Next up, we get a new modification to desynthesizing items called Quick Desynthesis, which allows us to automatically desynthesize stackable items. And oh yes, I cannot wait because I am actually inherently quite lazy. Honest. So I see this stack of 999 fish and I feel dread. I feel like, actually not even dread, I feel like, which retainer is this going in? Which retainer has space? Because I'm not dealing with these. So I greatly look forward to finally desynthesizing the infinite amounts of fish that I have in my retainers. Next up is Ishgard Restoration, and this is getting an update in patch 5.31. And so this is going to be the third phase of the Ishgard Restoration. So we are seeing new gathering items added to the diadem. Sky Builder rankings will open and items will count to seasonal score, and top ranked players will get a special buff. I mean special stuff like achievements and titles. There will likewise be new rewards that you can buy with Sky Builder scripts, so we all know that that can be housing items, minions, mounts, whatever. There will also be a new set of side quests during this part of the Ishgard Restoration when it's finished. Basically, apparently during the live letter they were saying just for like the ambience or the feel or something like that, if I understood correctly. To me as a Canadian, I'd say just visit us during the winter if you really want the feel of that. But here's a screen cap of one of the minions, and this looks like a winter coat covered Gaelicat. And for the record, one of my favorite minions in the game is the Gaelicat, so this is absolutely amazing. And it was mentioned, however, that items will change for Ishgard Restoration though, and so don't feel the need to start hoarding various crafting materials in advance to try and prepare. So blessing and curse, I guess, because it's just like, if you already were hoarding in preparation, that's a major bummer. But if you weren't, you're probably just like, oh, thank God. So for me, I don't know how to feel on that. But from here, we can see that they have formally introduced achievements and titles again in the rankings. So first to 12th place will get a Saint Ascendant and Phase 3 Divine Ascension. That sounds really fancy. And then all the rest until 100th, or first to 100th, will get Minor Miracle and Beauteous Ascendant, of which I would be lucky if I was rank 500 on Gilgamesh. Feels bad, but congrats to whoever can get these in advance. And they did say that they aren't sure if they want to keep the original titles from March or if they wanted to move on to new ones. And so we're going to have to hang on and see if the earned titles change or are the same. Personally, though this isn't an opinion video and I'm trying to drag myself from saying opinions, I know that I've pretty much given up on getting the titles myself because the competition, I'm going to be blunt, it's so cutthroat. There's no way I will be in the top 12. It will not happen. It didn't happen last time and it's not going to happen this time. Apologies though, I know that belongs in more of an opinion piece, but I see these titles and I'm like, oh, that's a beautiful thing that I'm never going to get. Darn it. Sky Steel tools are getting an update in patch 5.35, but when I was watching the live letter, I didn't see anything super specific on this. And so we're moving right now into the miscellaneous changes. So now miscellaneous changes include us being able to have parties of players merge in the party finder. Honestly, this is a situation that might sound super niche to people, but I can tell you that when I am making a PF group or something for Extreme Hades or Cinderdrift Extreme, this happened so incredibly often. Like, you'd have a group of 4 and then another group of 4 that could perfectly merge, and they were both like basically looking at each other. Then you'd have to whisper the other leader, and then they were AFK, and it was like, darn it. But now we have the option to specify like to merge. Another option that we have is to specify 1 player per 1 job added to the party finder settings. I am kind of mixed on feeling of this because it almost feels like it enables people who think that they need all the jobs to be different or be suboptimal. But on the other hand, it does prevent people who truly believe that from getting frustrated with the groups. So I think that it could be a good thing. But what I would probably prefer would be if it just... Yeah, I don't think that there's actually a really good clean scenario because it's just like you could argue, but we need more limit break. But mind you, if you have a really good second machinist, like let's say that you have a black mage, let's say that you have a dragoon, and then you could have like 2 machinists, or like change it up and just be like you have 1 of every role but 2 samurai, and samurai's doing really well lately. So that would still work because you had this full spread of buffs, but you're arguing that the limit break's an issue. It's just But another great thing is going to be added, which is the ability to transfer worlds when in a cross-world party finder. And this is a great change that I am actually really happy to see, and it might sound petty or silly, but many times, especially in raid groups like last night, I wanted to change worlds and see what was happening at one of my raid members' houses, and I'm like, I can't change because I'm stuck on Fairy server, and I want to go back to Gilgamesh, but and so I'm really looking forward to that. Something that they did mention but didn't elaborate on is apparently there's going to be new token exchange vendors added to all of the major cities, so looking forward to that, and I'm very curious what the rewards are. And then the fashion accessories menu option is going to be added, which apparently will include things like parasols. You see, this makes me wonder what else is going to be added to justify having a new menu option. I'm excited, but again, this isn't something that I actually saw elaborated on in the live letter, so we're going to have to hang tight on what we're going to see there. Something that's going to be very exciting to all of our G-posers out there on Twitter and elsewhere is that now we get stickers that we can move around on the G-pose window, so that it will allow you to share around different things like Spriggans, Morbles, or even text like Quest Complete text here. Or you can even specify dates if you want. However, it should be said that there is going to be no manual input text yet, at least, so these pre-made options like dates, time, stickers, names, and the rest are predefined settings. You can, however, make presets of stickers and other settings that you can consistently apply to other G-Post screenshots apparently, so that is going to be exciting. So now we're getting into kind of really miscellaneous stuff. So there is also an added watermelon minion, and then there are going to be some new glam clothing options. So kind of Hawaiian cabana tire golf coursey stuff. I actually really like this, oddly enough. It's like Hrothgar daddy and like a golf course thing. I don't know. It's so silly, but I love it. Next up, we have new housing items. And so from the screen cap alone, we can see that we have like this pond in here with this like flower thing in here. Again, my screenshot is in the highest resolution and I need to apologize for that. I tried my best, but YouTube seems to sometimes pixelate on my end, I guess, when I'm viewing live stream. But anyhow, you can see like it's more Yorha themed on the walls, and then we have this like pool here, and so that's going to be some awesome items there. Next up, we can see a kind of comfy sitting space on the ground, and I absolutely adore this item and I can't wait to get it. Next up, we can see new food items. This hamburger. This is amazing, and I'm going to be lucky if I don't fill my house with them. It's just, it is the most amazing hamburger. It's one of those things that you get in real life that you're like, this is too cute to eat. And then I go to someone like, and then they're just like, oh yeah, I'd eat it just because it's cute, just to spite you. Ugh. But next up, we have flying whale baby crib thing. I don't know what it actually is called. I'm sorry. And then we have barrels and brand new curtains, and I'm excited. Oh, and Hrothgar and Viera mannequins. I'm sorry. I'm excited for that. But now, next up, we have a new mount here, and I'm not sure where the other one is from. It's like Yorha, Ocean Citadel, I don't know. But what I'm gonna do is say that the prime numbers are back. So basically you're gonna need a PhD in math to get this mount. Have fun. I'm joking. I don't know how you're gonna be getting it, but trust me, this is both triggering and super exciting at the same time. Next thing is a free trial expansion was announced, where basically you now have access to things in Heavensward. If you aren't actually buying the game, now you can do and try Heavensward content apparently up until patch 5.36, so I think that's all of Heavensward. You can try Astrologian, Dark, Machinist, and you can try the ARR race and level to 60. So that is actually really huge, and I think that that's going to help a lot of players, because I don't think that A Realm Reborn is actually a good representation of this game anymore, especially not in 2020. I think that the game has evolved so far past that point, and yeah, I'm glad, because I think that this is going to get a lot more players trying this, and I think that I think that's a great opportunity. Another thing is that I can see this like pterodactyl minion. Wow, I've been up way too long. Minion. And so that is really, really cool. And so now let's talk about the Yokai Watch Collab. And so this has returned with the content of Gather One, Gather All, and will be available from August 19th up until patch 5.4 release date. Which, do we know when that is? No, we don't. Not at least right now. We can predict, oh, it's going to be about 2.5, 3-ish months from this one, but we don't know. So here are some images of what we can expect on the screen right now. So likewise, you can see really, really cool Gunbreaker, Samurai, and Red Mage weapons, as well as a Dancer weapon. My first question is, what about the healers? Now we have a reward mount for anyone who collects all of the items, and so, oh boy, do I like that mount enough to go through all of that grind? Oh boy. I feel pain, but you know what? I think it's cool. Next up, we have other mount is being shown, which is the ghost with kind of an even creepier appearance to itself. And then you have this cat hanging off of it, and so I think that that's really cool. And then we also get minions from it, and I must admit I am not super duper familiar with all of these characters, but I know that a lot of people are super excited about it, and so I am really excited to see how this turns out. And then, yeah, that actually is it for the patch notes, and I am thanking you so much for hanging on for this extremely long video. Trust me, it is as condensed and quick as I can get it done. And yeah, I hope that this helps you out, and as always, any likes and subscribes go an incredibly long way to helping me, and honestly, yeah, all the support is truly immensely appreciated. Anyhow, I am losing my voice at this point, and I need to get like a pop or something because I'm dying here. But I had to get this out, and take care everyone and have an absolutely fantastic day. Thank you so much. You are appreciated. You are great. Stay healthy, stay safe, and hope to catch you in the next one.